There's my two levers all laminated up and glued, and if we compare it to the end of the bow, you can see I've got just about the right sort of thickness and plenty of extra length to splice it on. There's only one minor problem, of course. Look, I've made them both right-handed, haven't I? Ah, that's better. Well, while I'm here, you can see the evolution of the former. I cut away more and more here so that I could get a clamp sort of tight onto the bend to improve the clamping. Clamp there, so I ended up with a good series of clamps all the way around. It's like everything, it all slowly evolves, and whenever you make two of anything, the second one's always better than the first one. And now I've got the first lever cut out. You can see it's not a very good fit yet. Well, it's got a good fit, but it doesn't go in far enough yet. But as I clean up the surfaces, that'll push in the rest of the way. So it's good to have it tight rather than loose. Yeah, there was a bit of trepidation about doing that. The dimensions were basically just working with what I'd already done. So going about as long as this swell. Actually it works out 3.3 inches, and the width here is 20mm wide. Just carefully marked out and sawn. It would be a mistake to slap this on the belt sander to try and make it go in better, because it's very easy to take off a lot more than you want on a belt sander, because it probably doesn't need much just to push in that bit further. Nice thing is I've got plenty of thickness this way, so I can, you know, position it, have a little bit left sticking out here to file to round it off slightly for where the stringer will go, or I could leave a bit more on the belly side for shaping as a string bridge. So I've got plenty of options. I'll get the other one cut out, and then I'll fiddle and fettle them together. Beauty of doing that is that if I make one perhaps a little bit loose in one splice, maybe it will fit better in the other. It just gives me twice the chance of getting it right. Looking closely at where I've cut this V-splice, it looks reasonable this side. If you turn it over, you can see the V's not very good. Well, I could offer it up to the bandsaw again and bully it out and totally ruin it. Or what I could do is just very carefully slide a saw up and down there, just working on that edge. It's hard to show with one hand, but just gently work a fine saw up and down just to tidy that out. Sort of using the teeth of the saw a bit like a file almost. It's patience and fiddling and fettling, and that's the difference between getting, you know, a good joint and just a sloppy joint, or bashing it in with a hammer to make it fit and finding you get a great big split down here. Slow and steady wins the day. Yeah, that sort of shows what I mean. So I'm actually using I'm pushing the saw the wrong way. I'm not using the cutting, the front edges of the teeth. I'm using the back edge, which is less aggressive. And a lot more controlled. I was actually using two hands, but I'm holding the camera in the other. But that gives you a bit of an idea. And you can actually just force it down very carefully, and you're almost scraping away. But there you can see that V's already tidied up substantially. Doesn't take a lot of effort. It's like a lot of these things, people, oh, you know, it's all wrong, I'm going to have to, you know, reach for power tools or do Christ knows what. No, just a little bit of work, carefully done. It's quality, not quantity. So, no substitute for knowing what you're doing. Another good trick, like I said, don't use the belt sander. Well, no, that's not. I do use the belt sander, but don't turn it on. Use it as a nice flat sanding surface. So yeah, I mean, if I turned that on, woof, I'd ruin that in a matter of seconds. But it is a good solid flat surface to sand against. It gives you a nice feel, you know, you can really feel that clonking down. And where the bandsaw came out at the edge of the cut here, you've got this ridge. You can get that off nicely on the belt sander. Yeah, a little bit more fiddling and fettling. That's almost there. In fact, probably with the glue on, the glue would act like a lubricant and that probably would fit all the way home, but I'm just wary of splitting it. The other trick is using a rasp in and out down that way, but also dragging the saw, the teeth of the saw in and out, and roughen up the surface. Take off a tiny amount, but also roughen up the surface, just allowing a bit of movement between the two, you know, between the two parts of the joint. Similarly, I can rough up this face with the edge of the saw. Right, I've got the two splices fiddled and fettled. That could possibly go in a little bit further, but this is going to get bound anyway, bound with linen thread and super glue put into the linen thread. Not very primitive. I could use sinew and hide glue, but it takes a very long time to cure, so I'm happy enough doing it as I am. There's the one at the other end, pretty similar. If I look underneath, so it's easy to get it looking good one side and it's not quite so good the other. Slightly bigger gap there, but overall not bad. But the point is, having dry assembled it, I can have a shufty down the end and see what the alignment looks like, and that looks pretty good to me. So I shall go ahead and get that glued up later on. Now I've done a bit more work to get a really nice fit on these splices. It's a tiny gap at the tip, but I think it can be pushed in. Let's see if I can. Don't know if the computer, yeah, you can just see. I'm trying to hold it up to the light, and there's not a lot of light coming through there. Tiny hint there at the tip, but that will squeeze up with a clamp. And this one. Yeah, oh, there's the tip. Similarly good. Yeah, got those looking nice. I'll get those glued up. Leave them overnight and have a play in the morning. Now the levers are nicely glued now. I've got plenty of room to effectively open that up a bit. That will become the notch for the stringer. I can remove this excess wood here, but leave it proud here and file in a deep groove as a string guide, string bridge, whatever. If I need bigger bridges, they can be glued on the side here, coming this way. Absolutely tons of width for string line adjusting and what have you. I'll probably need horn inserts or overlays of some sort to provide enough strength so it doesn't split the U. But yeah, we're looking good now. But, and look at that alignment. She's looking quite pretty. Here we have some bonus cat footage. Spot the cat. Lovely blossom on the cherry. There's a bird up there somewhere. All highly bucolic. This is the courgette bed. I'll dig up all this and forget-me-not once it's finished, and that'll be dug over and get some courgettes in there.